We are on Brushy Lake today. It's pretty close to the middle of Bankhead National Forest. It's a small 33-acre lake created by a small concrete dam. Beautiful area, very peaceful and quiet. I'd been to this lake one time before, but had never actually been on the water. So I wanted to bring my boat today and check it out. Yeah, the main reason I came to Brushy Lake today is because it's only about 50 minutes from my house. It's Sunday afternoon, so I knew I wouldn't have the full day. I had church this morning, and after church I knew I could get here in time to paddle for several hours. And I didn't get out yesterday on Saturday because the weather wasn't that great. I mean, it was okay, but it was cloudy. We've had so many cloudy, rainy Saturdays, and the forecast today was 65 and sunny. I thought, man, that's the day I want to be outside. So did some work, some chores yesterday, and took my outside time this afternoon. I'm glad I did. It's been absolutely gorgeous. You can see I'm out here in short sleeve shirt, no toboggan or hoodie today. Feels great. And so yeah, this place is not that far away, just under an hour away, and just needed a couple hours to get out and enjoy the sun and warm air, and it's been worth it. It was a good call. Well, that was probably scarier than it looked. I was easing along, a little wind come up behind me and started helping me along, which I thought was pretty cool, until I kind of nosed up on a underwater log. And that's a bad thing. Your stability in kayaks comes from the middle, and that's the widest part, and that's what you want always in the water. And when I nosed up on that log, I had my stern in the water and my bow on the log, and I was free in the middle, and so that makes you very tippy, very unstable, and so that's not a good place to be. That's why so many people you see turn in, getting in and out, because somebody says, "Oh, I'll help you," and they grab the front of their kayak and yank them out of the water. Well, then all of a sudden, they're up at an angle like that, and the person on the bank's holding the front end, the back end sitting in the water, and there's no stability on the bow and the stern. It's all in the midsection. So that's why I took my time getting off of it. Very gently tried to back off of that log. Thought I could get through on the back side of this island, but I don't think I can. So not only am I going to have to probably paddle out in shallow waters, but against the wind, I don't think I can pick my way through here. Dadgummit. It's close, but I don't want to have to get out.
Saw a hawk today.
Okay, so I've just pulled over here to the bank. You can see my boat's just kind of sitting right there against the ground, and there's a log jam right there that you see in the water. So I'm going to check that log jam out and see what's on the other side. And as I'm walking off, you see I'll turn around and do one last spot check of my boat to make sure it's still there, because I knew I didn't tie it off, but I didn't really think it would go anywhere. I thought it was kind of on the sand, but as soon as I turn around, you see that thing start moving. Now you can look at the water and tell that there's really not any current there in this area, so it was just the wind. And even though you can't see the effects of the wind on the water, there was a breeze that day, and so that's what grabbed my boat and started moving it downstream, and probably my camera pole on the back, really helped catch the wind. So as it kind of pans around here, you'll see me right off in the distance, and I'm checking out the log jam and have no clue as to what my boat is doing. It's just kind of taking off without me. So I'm just up there milling around, and had I looked left, at all, I could have clearly seen my boat from there. But I just really thought it was secure, and so I just never gave it a second thought, and I'm checking out that log jam, and the whole time my boat is moving downstream. So after a while, I decided to head back to my boat, and I remember thinking, man, I don't remember being this far from my boat. As I zoom in, you see that I look and see that it's going downstream, and I take off running through the woods. Now, I'm very lucky right here. See, the paddle catches that limb, and even though the paddle's just sitting on the boat and nothing's really holding it down, there was just enough resistance there to turn that boat. You can see right here, that paddle hitting that limb was just enough to turn the back end back towards the bank. So I was very fortunate in that. I was also very fortunate that right here I could actually even get to the water from the bank. You can look to the right, see how much growth and dead shrubs are there along the way. But the fact that I could get there to the water was very fortunate. And third, see how I'm leaning out on that little sapling there? Had that not been there, I would not have been able to grab my boat, because it was a little out of my reach standing upright on the bank. But with that sapling there, it wasn't very strong, as you'll see here in just a second, but it was just enough for me to put a little bit of weight on and get just enough reach to grab my camera pole. And again, the fact that I had a camera pole on there probably made me very lucky. So at this point, I'm looking around just trying to figure out what to do. And I realized that the camera pole's hitting a lot of limbs, so I break the first one there to give me a little room to work, and here in a second I'll break a lot more. But right now I'm still formulating a plan. You see in the bottom right corner that limb is on that paddle. I'll eventually lose my paddle. It'll fall off the boat because of these limbs sticking out. But I never really worried about that. I have a spare paddle, a two-section paddle broken down inside my boat. So I knew that I'd probably lose my main one, but I also know that it floats, so I wasn't worried about it. I knew that once I got in the boat, I'd have another paddle waiting on me. So here I'm just still trying to figure out how in the world am I going to not only get in the boat, but first I've got to get the boat to the bank. There's so many limbs and brush and stuff there that it's hard to get the boat up against it. And two, that bank there was about a 3-foot sheer drop. It was sandy, so it was very soft, and I'm kind of standing there at the base of those little saplings growing out of the bank. But it was getting to the boat was part of the problem. So here, I finally, remembered that I happened to have some paracord in my pocket. I had intended to stick it on the front of my boat and have it there to tie off, but I forgot to do that. So it actually worked out good that it was in my pocket. So I grabbed my boat there, tie my paracord to it, so that way I can kind of maneuver the boat around. And here I'm thinking maybe I could walk it back down to that little sandy beach where I got out. But you can see I took about 3 steps and realized that wasn't going to work. There's so much brush and stuff in the way. I just gave up on that. So I said, all right, I'm going to have to get in this boat right here. And so I start breaking branches off here and trying to clear out some room, because those branches are hitting my camera poles, they're hitting my boat, my paddle. So here I am just trying to clear out and get myself some room. Even the one I leaned on there, I'm kind of bending it out of the way, about to lose my paddle there. And I look at it, but like I said, I realize that's not a problem. So I'm trying to position my boat here, and of course there I almost fall in, and that wouldn't have been good to go for a swim. That was another thing. The water was probably about close to 4 feet deep right there. I could see the bottom, and it was deeper than I really wanted to stand in. And so here I just grabbed my boat and I said, okay, I've got to get this camera pole out of the way. It's hitting too many limbs and causing too much trouble. So fortunately I was able to hold my boat with one hand, release the pole with my other one, I'm just going to slide it into my boat and get it out of the way. And so here I am clearing more branches and limbs to give me some room to operate. And because I know I've got to get my boat up against the bank as close as I can. So here's my first shot at it right here. I had enough cleared off. But the back ends on the sitting on the bank, and of course earlier, I just talked about how that it's very unstable. If one of your ends, one or both are out of the water, or even one. So I realized that's not going to work. So I kind of shoved the boat out, and I think, okay, I'm going to shove it out and try to get it further back. So here I am, kind of getting positioned again. The bank's crumbling under me, and I finally go back here and try to pull the boat back to exactly where I want it, and get it situated in the water, so it's level in the water now. So I'll go back and try to reach out to it with my foot and get it pulled over to the side, and then I'll be positioned to kind of plop down in it, which again I wasn't sure how that was going to work. So I've got the boat here, got my foot in it. Eventually I'll get both feet in it, and then I just take the plunge, and fortunately holding on to that tree helped me a little bit maintain my stability. So I'm in my boat. I'm breathing like I just ran a marathon because I'm not only tired from fighting everything, but nervous about going swimming. So there's part of my paddle that I pull out, and yeah, I'm a little bit beat at this point, but happy to be in my boat and still be dry. Spare paddle, yep, good call there. I'll usually always have one. So I go downstream just a little bit, get my main paddle and get my spare put away, and at this point, I'm good. I just got to catch my breath. Well, that was exciting. Never had my boat get away from me before. Usually pull this joker about halfway on land. Sometimes if I have rope, I'll tie it off. Had rope in my pocket, but didn't do any good for my boat. Fortunately, I got my boat back before it got too far away. Of course, there's not a lot of current, so it wouldn't have gone far, but it could have been sitting out in the middle, and I could have waited on it a long time. Lesson learned. Don't drink and paddle.